Good morning. I'm Jay Clifton Payne, and this is Things You Might Have Heard, where I'm going to present to you in a moment 8 of the more interesting stories in information, politics, current events, and pop culture that you told me were interesting. You helped choose these stories, and you'll get a chance to see which stories were pulled for this. Now, we are your go-to source for supplemental news, we say, from mainstream and unconventional, so hopefully you like the context we give to you and the stories we present. We're going to go to Donald J. Trump. Yes, he is pretty much top, front and center, but 8 other stories that you helped us vet for this newscast. So check it out. We're going to do this right now. Go to our main website, which is thisisaconversationproject.com, for more details on all the offerings we have from the Conversation Project and all the ways we stay conversational. Let's get into the news, shall we? Starting off with, if the buttons work correctly, story number 1 for this day, Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. Here we go. Trump pleads not guilty to all 37 federal counts. So yesterday, if you were watching any sort of news yesterday, you saw the spectacle that was Donald Trump driving down the highway in Miami, going up and away from the courthouse where he was arraigned yesterday on 37 federal counts dealing with the documents cases in Mar-a-Lago and some other places apparently as well. He pleaded not guilty to federal charges, alleging that he hoarded classified documents detaining sensitive military secrets and schemed to thwart government efforts to get them back. Essentially, when he was taking whatever he wanted to, put them in various places at his home and had people move them around so it couldn't be found, he said he didn't do that. And that's essentially what's going on. He is claiming that because this case is going on, one of 4 total that are going to be going for the summer of Trump indictments apparently, this is going to get in the way of him running for president, which it kind of does. What also was interesting about yesterday was his co-conspirator, a person who works for him named Walt Mata, did not have a lawyer to represent him from Florida. Donald Trump has a Florida lawyer, so he could put in a plea. Mata was expected to put in his plea as well yesterday. He didn't, so he has to find a Florida lawyer and come back and do this again. We shall see how this plays out going forward, because we shall see. 70 days is more or less where they're trying to get this trial going in there. Of course, we have an election coming up in literally like 14 months. So this is prime time for the election coverage, prime time for people out there canvassing folks, especially the summer before the election. And Donald Trump, right now, the presumptive front runner for the Republican Party, having the number 1 guy sitting in court for a couple months can be a downer on an election process. Let's go to story number 2. This is one we teased yesterday. We'll explain what the teaser stories are when we get to the end of the headlines. Elizabeth Holmes says she can't afford $250, that's $250 a month restitution. Very short replay from Business Insider says Elizabeth Holmes' attorney says she won't be able to afford $250 a month in restitution payments when she's released from Texas prison. Holmes and Ramesh Sunny Balwani were ordered to pay more than $452 million in restitution. And right now, she's supposed to make $250 a month, and she can't do that. Prosecutors proposed that Holmes pay $250 a month in increments on her release just to get started. But attorneys say she ain't got no money. She ain't doing nothing. She's a stay-at-home mom with no job, essentially, who's sitting in jail right now. So how she's going to pay $250 a month? Which is a fair question, except how did she take billions of dollars from other people and blow it? Which is why she's in jail. Let's move on to story number 3. You may be hyped up for the new Flash movie, but you may not be so hyped up for the star, Mr. Ezra Miller. Here is something from him. Ezra Miller issues first public comments since misconduct allegations, say that 3 times fast, at the Flash premiere. He spoke for the first time at the LA premiere of The Flash on Monday night, where he was open about misconduct allegations and various legal woes that are going on. A series of escalating incidents led to Miller being charged with felony burglary in Vermont in 2022 and being arrested twice in Hawaii for disorderly conduct and harassment. He walked around the red carpet for the Flash premiere and did what he could to talk about it, but trying to keep it in a positive light. This is not anywhere near breaking news or anything that's all that, engaging or anything that's really dealt and probed, because it was red carpet talk. But you do have our Mr. Miller, Ezra, the Flash from the movie, on record for speaking about what's going on. I'm sure there'll be more breakdowns after the movie's out, and they'll do more to produce it and push it. Even though right now the Flash is looking to make a pretty big box office, but I'm going to say a part of that's because the real Batman, Michael Keaton, is the star. I know Ezra Miller is the Flash, and it's called The Flash, but yeah, it's Michael Keaton's movie, and Just can't do nothing about that. Let's move on to this story here. American Airlines eliminates complimentary checked baggage for international basic economy tickets. Sounds like a bad deal. American Airlines has eliminated those inclusions for checked bags from international basic economy tickets. This will significantly increase the financial burden on travelers, and it is diverging from its competition, United and Delta, who have not yet put this in place. But, once one guy starts charging fees or letting the free stuff go, the other guys find, hey, well, that guy's not doing it, so why don't we do that? We shall see how long it takes for them to get on this bandwagon. Meantime, if you're a gold member or a One World Ruby member, guess what? Complimentary bags checks for international flights because you're paying for those extra miles and extra perks. There you go. But keep an eye on that. If you're going international anytime soon and you're going American, you're paying American prices, which is going to be quite a bit. Next story is Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak announces his retirement. This is a little old on our end of this one. We had a couple stories that sort of got in the way on this one, but this one posted fairly early in the range for stories, so it's still around. Pat Sajak is done after this 41st season of the show Wheel of Fortune. He joined the syndicated show back in 1981, hosted the daytime version throughout the 80s, and he won 3 Daytime Emmy Awards and Lifetime Achievement honors for this. Of course, Pat Sajak, known for doing a bunch of stuff. He's like an actual real talk show host and has filled in on real deal shows back in the day and taken on this thing as just sort of the gig of the moment back when the game show biz was really big in the 80s. He's 76 years old and could use a little break from spinning the wheel, and that's what's happening. Right now, the knives are out and the eyes are bulging on who can take over the spot spinning that wheel for Pat Sajak. There's been plenty of talk in the past when they had they're trying to not to replace. I remember about a decade ago they were looking at doing like a nighttime a version of Wheel of Fortune that was a primetime version that was going to stick around, and they're looking for a host for that. And people were kind of pining for that one, saying who was going to be the Pat and Vanna for this one. Vanna White apparently still going to stick around, but we'll see what happens after this upcoming season, which starts in September. Are you a fan of award shows? Are you a fan of Broadway musicals? Are you a fan of the Tonys? Apparently this year the Tonys got a very, very, very big bump after many years of decline. Headline reads, Tony Awards reached 4.3 million viewers on CBS, most watched ceremony since 2019, which doesn't seem like so long ago, but in TV time, that's a long time ago. So what happened? People watched. People cared. Actually, I would say there's a lot more newer musicals that are made that are, oddly just, revampings of people's music collections. Anybody with a music collection, like Breaking Out is, Moving Out, I'm sorry, is just a compilation of Billy Joel songs that's has a story about going to war to it, but it's just Billy Joel songs. And of course, the Green Day one, American Idiot, I think that's what it actually is called, where it's Green Day songs. Really modern singers putting their songs together for things to turn into something. They have one out there that's just like Backstreet Boys songs or pop songs or whatever, a brand new one coming out there. And people are getting into that because of Gen X and nostalgia, things like that. So a lot of people are ginned up to watch these type of shows because it's like going to a concert back when they were back in the day. So a lot more people are watching more younger stuff, and Hamilton, rapping, slave owners, things like that. And so the Tonys had a lot of love this year. 4.3 million people watched it. 13% of streaming growth in watching it this year, because many people don't watch actual TV anymore. The ceremony was unscripted and in compliance with the ongoing writer strike, so there were no people writing little snippets for people to read and go up there and kind of stand like. And this thing goes to, that didn't happen. People had to be spontaneous to go with the writer's strike, so they were good with that. We shall see what goes on forward on Tonys or any other award show. We talked about the Golden Globes a few days ago. Award show season is coming because it's summer and they need to put something on TV, even if it's unscripted. Wrapping up this Wednesday with 2 alcohol-related stories. It just sort of happened today. First one: small amounts of alcohol may turn down stress in the brain. Read that properly so you get that straight. Benefiting the heart, new study finds. Quickly on this one: researchers say that you can explain how light drinking benefits the heart, and it doesn't stem from changes in the blood, as scientists once thought, but from the actions in the brain. People who drink moderate amounts of alcohol may lower their risk of heart attacks and strokes compared to people who abstain from alcohol completely and those who drink more. Scientists have never been able to explain why this is the case, and you can go deeper into the story deeper into the story. So essentially, there are some benefits to alcohol, so a little bit is good for you, opposed to people who don't. That's fine. But a lot of alcohol becomes an issue. So a lot of it is bad for you, as opposed to those who don't or only have a little bit. So if you're going for the better, if you want to be, straight edge, you don't have to drink. If you want to drink a couple glasses here or there, it's going to have some benefits for you in stress and maybe heart disease. Once you get to the levels of, hey, hold my beer type stuff, then that's why you see people after actions of hold my beer. Speaking of holding beer, Gen X's apparently aren't. I guess I missed that headline. So since I have it in my script, I'll read it to you really quickly. Gen Z's, I said Gen Z's are not. Gen Z drinking habits are killing concerts. So kids these days don't really know how to party apparently, because Gen Z are not drinking as much as we did back in the day going out to concerts. They're not drinking alcohol. They are embodying more marijuana, if you will. But some of the nuances of getting a beer, getting a cocktail, are turning to mocktails, sparkling water, and kombucha, believe it or not, and even some CBD drinks because there's something there. More of the energy type stuff, less of the boozy type stuff for Gen Z. So I guess an extra in there. I did not get that headline into the actual mix. I guess I miscounted and pulled this one out there. But Gen Zs are drinking less at concerts, making the experience a little weirder and making the money that can be had at those things a little different. Now, we've got all the stories plus a bonus. There you go, bonus. Nothing wrong with bonuses for Wednesday. Here's our teaser story for the day. We call it a teaser story because this is a story that has been posted in the early hours, or will be posted in the next few hours here on the Conversation Projects feeds, and you can engage in it, and it also gives a chance to explain how the feeds actually work. So you go to our website, or the websites for Twitter and Facebook, and our links on there, our pages there. Twitter.com/th_conversation, and for Facebook, it is This Is the Conversation Project.com. Or not .com, just this Conversation Project. And you can upvote this one by just engaging in it. Tell us what you think about the story, and the more engagement it gets, that means you say, hey, I kind of dig this, the better chance we have to talk about it. The story reads, or headline, as this. Sir Paul McCartney says artificial intelligence has enabled a final, that's a quote, Beatles song. What's that mean? That means even though that Paul and George are gone, well, I guess Paul's not gone. John and George are gone. Get that straight. Paul is here. Trust me. Paul and Ringo could get together and play together, or they can put their voices into some chat GPT and make a song, which is what's happening. A new Beatles song is coming out via the wonders and joy of artificial intelligence. Now, let's not get too crazy yet. This is not Skynet taking over the world quite yet. I mean, there is a lot of going into this, and chances are it won't be that great of a song because Chat GPT doesn't write very good songs. However, the technology that's used for cloning voices and the technology using for having predictive text, things that sound like what humans would say, even if they're not the greatest words in the world, will help the Beatles come back to life, literally. So if this is something you want to talk about, if it freaks you out or if you're excited about it, go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Let me know that you're interested. We're going to pick 8 of the top 15 stories in the contention for tomorrow. We'll post somewhere between 31 and 33 stories within the span of 30 hours. So the top 15 get looks. 8 of those get pulled in, unless you mess up and pull a 9 like it today, and we'll go from there. And like I said, you vet the stories to tell me what is conversational. Now, you didn't vet this, but we're going to, hopefully you can vet yourself in this one. Our sponsor we're highlighting today is AppSumo, as we have the final day of AppSumo Day. Yes, they call it AppSumo Day, but it really was 4 days, from Sunday to today, or actually 5 days. It's still tomorrow. We have another day of this going on. AppSumo is a website that allows you to buy apps and programs and courses and things from people who need your money, and they're going to give you a great deal as they open up their shops on lifetime deals for things that they're developing. You pay a small amount to give them a little push right now, and as this thing grows and gets bigger, you will find you keep it forever, and you get all the great add-ons and all the great things that are added to it. Evernote started as an AppSumo deal. I use for my graphics, I use Stencil, which started off as a Amazon as an AppSumo deal with another name. It changed names, changed companies. I'm still using it for the price I paid for it like 6-7 years ago. It's a great tool like that. Also, AppSumo has their own built-in, baked-in things that they built themselves, including SendFox, which I use for my newsletters, and TidyCal, which I use for my calendar, and other things as well. Check out AppSumo and get in on a great deal for something to use for your business and personal development. They have some great AI apps, some great chatbots, things that are getting into the new stuff, so that when you want to get into your own Skynet, you can buy it for free, and Skynet won't charge you going forward for the use of being the tool of an internet overlord or something like that. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is aconversationproject.com/AppSumo. This is an affiliate link. We do get a couple pennies back from every purchase you have at AppSumo. And because it's Sumo Day or Sumo Week, there are some special deals going out there to get into, including deals on their AppSumo Plus subscription, which gives you even more deals on AppSumo deals. So check it out today. Sign up today. Take care of yourself on this one. This is one you really want to get into today. The Conversation Project lives at thisisaconversationproject.com. That's our website. That's the home for the Conversation Project. You can find the things that we do. We have this thing right here, things you might have heard 5 days a week from Monday through Friday. And on Saturday, we do the weekly wrap up, which are the top 10 stories based on pure numbers. These are vetted by you directly, but there's no curation for which ones are more narrative speaking, and no editorial content. This is straight up the top 10. But the editorial comes from the story of the week. I take one of those top 10 stories that you said were tops, and I go deeper detail on that one. And I do a little bracket thing, so it's not just, the top story. It's one that's interesting based off other things. So sometimes a cooler story gets knocked off by another cooler story, and that happens. We also have various places we live, if you will, for getting our content. You can find them as well. We have some more sponsors there, and our partnerships page, which is the part where we do the pledge drive part. If you think that we're providing for you fairly good content, if you like what you're seeing, if you're watching, or hearing if you're listening, go to our partnerships page and see if you want to help us out. We have subscriptions via the Buy Me a Coffee or single user coffees there. We have links via PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App, because we do not turn away cash here for the Conversation Project. We have a bevy of people who help out on the project, but we and I want to make sure that people working on this thing are getting their proper due. If we're working on it, they get paid. If I contract to someone, I pay them up front. If I'm looking someone to do something on extended versions, they are getting an extended check from this. So we need some help with that one. A little extra dollars helps make things make more sense here. If you're willing to put up with us, we will allow you to, and we'll listen to everything you say. And we're going to add some new perks to the subscription things very soon on Buy Me a Coffee. Having some issues, of course. If you've been following along long enough, you realize I'm currently homeless. Yes, I'm in the studio doing the recording, but my actual home, hit by a tornado, is still being rebuilt. There's that to worry about. None of the money goes to that effort. That's taken care of on its own. But this effort is taking a lot more taxing, getting a lot more resources, if you will, because of other taxing issues. So don't worry about my house. That's taken care of. Worry about this house. If you care about the Conversation Project, hook us up. Go to the partnerships page at thisisaconversationproject.com. We have been testing some things with the fun stuff all week, and we think we've figured out our test, but we're going to do some more playing around with it, seeing how it goes. And if you like it, let us know. If you are not liking it, let us know. We'll change back. We think it's working very well. We have some ideas what we're going to do going forward in the future, which will be the sticky things. In the meantime, the sticky things right now are June 14th birthdays. Oh, Donald Trump is 77 years old today. We forgot about that. Technically, we didn't forget about that because we sort of lined these things up ahead of time, so we have an idea who we're putting in the birthdays, and we knew that Trump's birthday was today, and we knew that his speech last night was a part of a fundraiser birthday party, but we didn't quite know until later or later in the last week, he was showing up for court before he went to his party. So he was a little grumpy at court and a little grumpy at his party because he said some words and then went back to his suite to do whatever he does in his suite, look at his documents, I guess. Happy birthday to number 45, trying to be number 47, technically, and trying to stay out of jail. That'd be Donald Trump. Boy George, turning 62 years old today. Boy George was a fairly influential part of my youth, oddly enough, because of the MTV generation. Had a dog, named it George because I guess Culture Club was playing on the radio. Not exactly the biggest fan of the music. At some point in time, I got with the rest of my friends and got into rap and hip hop, and then into alternative and grunge and kind of stuff like that. And so not exactly the poppiest person, but I will admit, most of the time when I'm in the car, and my daughter complains all the time, we're listening to pop music and 80s on 8, and a lot of Culture Club makes its way into the radio, to her chagrin, because she thinks 80s music is weird, because she's 12. And Yasmine Bleeth turning 55 years old on the day. I'm not sure exactly what exactly she's up to, and she's actually been popping up in various things recently, but not in actual shows. But Yasmine Bleeth, who had her, I guess, her prime, if you want me to say that, back in the Baywatch days, which was quite a while ago, turning 55 years old on the day. Happy birthday to you, Ms. Bleeth. Moving on to history, way back on the 14th of June, happening in 1942, the first day that Anne Frank began keeping a diary. So the Diary of Anne Frank, one of the most famous stories that give you the details of what happened to people during World War II, or the era, you should guess, since it started before everything kicked off, began in written form today in 1942. Recently, there were some, I guess, social media posts about a they had like one clip of her before the Nazis did all their stuff. That's like someone did a home video of a wedding or something, people leaving a house, and she was leaning out the window of her home at the time, and it's like the only known piece of film that has her on it that exists. But if you've read the Diary of Anne Frank, or you pretended to read it in high school, today is the day that all started. If you've never read it or don't really know what I'm talking about, I'm not sure how you got through life this far. Go look it up. A very dark detail from a young girl detailing what went on for Jews hiding in the era of Nazi Germany. In fact, there's a new movie coming out about the family her family, and the family that hid them for so long. So look for that to come out in theaters very soon. 1996, stepping up a bit, Cal Ripken Jr. played his 2,216th game. Put some respect on that number. A straight game with Baltimore, breaking the endurance record set by Japan's Sachio Kansegawa, which I didn't even realize that the Ironman record was set by a Japanese player. The Orioles beat the Royals in that game 6-1 in the day. Yeah, maybe I need to go work on that house a bit more. And in 2005, I had to put this in here because there were so many actual big history things, but this one was just so stand outish that you may need to use this for your bar bet for this weekend. A woman searching for aluminum cans in a trash bin in Farmington, Massachusetts was dumped into the back of a garbage truck after the driver emptied the bin without realizing she was inside. Not a great look. The 38-year-old woman avoided major injury after a worker installing carpet nearby heard her screams and alerted the truck driver, who was about to press the compacting button. A whole lot of trouble was saved on that day that could have been saved if if she wasn't looking for cans while trash day was going on. So there are a lot of people who could have been in fault, but we are so happy for the resolution of this one. It's not urban legend. This one actually did happen. So happy birthday to her. Happy celebration day to bourbon. When Bourbon Day is today, and today is probably a good day for some bourbon, even though it's a Wednesday, so it's middle of the week, can't really kind of, suck it down and go with it. Bourbon is a very kind of distinct drink. Go to our website and click the links for the celebrations on it for details on bourbon and Bourbon Day. Essentially, any day you want bourbon is a pretty good day for bourbon. It works out that way. A little bit of the smoother drinks, if you will. Not really a spirits person, so I can't say that weigh it out over stuff. I will say I'll pick bourbon over whiskey if given the choice. But Bourbon Day is today. Celebrate in moderation, because remember, 1 or 2 drinks may be good for your heart. Going past that is a bit scary. Now, let's get this one in. One more thing you might not have heard for today. If you're not entirely happy with your life, exercise regularly may be the key to your success. A new study examined the correlation between physical activity levels and lifestyle impacts and found that those who make exercise a regular habit are happier and make more money than those who do not. Sidebar, don't forget about causation and correlation. What actually probably happens is people who make exercise a priority prioritize other things that make their life goes better, like, checking their bank statements, make sure they're not overspending, or making sure that all their things are prepared for work before they go to work so things are happening, or just having conversations with people before things go bad. So it's not necessarily that people who run a lot have better lives, it's that people who put priority on the exercise, i.e. running a lot, can prioritize other things to make things go better. But physical activity also helps because being healthy helps. My 2 cents. And you've got more than 2 cents. You had a full 25 minutes of Wednesday, June 13th, 2023 edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard. Thank you for being with us for this thing we do every day. This was created in a few iterations, so it's evolved over time. But what we have, the basics of this was me as a veteran news journalist, veteran news person, not being happy with, not being able to provide a newscast at a past position. I was working in media but didn't have time to really write a script for news, and so I found a way to kind of do that using you guys with the feeds and those things, and not liking the news that was being presented itself, because the choices that we were picking from coming more corporate, coming more partisan, if you will, and telling a narrative that wasn't exactly telling the truth. So we picked things from various different sources, all sorts of things, various folks you might like, various folks you might not like so much. We give you people the chance to decide on the headlines, going back and forth, and the stories, you will. And then I try to turn it into a cast every day, and things for the weekend and other things to chat about. If you enjoy what we're doing, check out our partnerships page and help me get that stuff done. Do more of that. The biggest thing you can do, of course, is go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Now, another sidebar. We're going to go long on this one. We had some issues in the past couple days. Now that Twitter is really pushing its blue checkmark stuff, it's really pushing back hard on getting things out to people who want to see this content. So the regulars, and just people that are picking up on trending stories out there. So I need some extra support on Twitter specifically, and Facebook as well, to go out there. So if you're still hanging out on Facebook and Twitter, some people have given it up, which is also part of the problem, go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project, and Twitter.com/th_conversation, because that's how we get the news to talk about, because you tell us what to talk about. That's the most important thing. On top of that, if you want to partner up by a sponsor, that helps greatly as well. Sharing the videos or podcasts, also awesome. We enjoy that as well. Every day I end this thing by saying stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. I have a mug that says that. I have t-shirts that say that. We'll have some of those out there as well in our extra stuff. And that's for a reminder that life is a marathon, not a sprint. And because that's pretty much overly done, life is going to be a long, long haul. So you need to make sure you are doing what you can to be here as long as possible. One of my rules of life in my Rules of Life book, which is coming out fairly soon, is don't die, as in don't do things to prematurely end your life. Don't do the dumb things, the hold my beer things, to put some sort of limit on your life and livelihood. We want to make sure that that is the case for you. So stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task for all the great things you are here to do. Great things happening on this Wednesday, I hope. And if not, have some bourbon and have great things happen for your Thursday. We'll be here for Thursday. We're posting news stories all day long. So stop by the feeds, stop by the website to see how to see more things going on. And we'll chat up 8 stories, 9 if I screw it up like I did today, that are very interesting, because you said so. That's how it works around here. Thank you so much. Let's see you on Thursday.